At 5:35 in the morning, Zuri Mensah climbed the final steps from Hanam Station and entered the cold Seoul morning. Across the street, the Siren Crown Hotel glittered like a palace. A black Mercedes stopped at the entrance. One intern stepped out. Another arrived in a chauffeured sedan. Zuri looked down at her own shoes. The left heel had separated the night before. She had repaired it carefully with adhesive and black thread. It would hold. That was enough. Inside, the morning briefing had already begun. Lee Sora noticed the shoes immediately. "Chaerin," she whispered. "Look." Yoon Chaerin glanced downward. Did she actually repair those? Sora covered a laugh. Zuri heard them. She simply opened her notebook. Later, at lunch, she removed rice, chicken, and vegetables from a small container she'd prepared at home. Sora stared. "We're going to Maison Pierre tonight. You should come." "Thank you, but I have plans." "You always have plans whenever something costs money." A few interns laughed. Zuri closed her lunch container. "I also have work." And she walked away. She had learned long ago that poverty embarrassed people most when the poor person refused to be embarrassed by it. Within 3 weeks, training director Oh Myonjin noticed something unusual. Guests remembered Zuri. An elderly Japanese businessman became confused near the elevators. Instead of pointing toward reception, Zuri personally escorted him. A returning family arrived for dinner. The youngest daughter has a shellfish allergy, Zuri quietly reminded the restaurant manager. The mother overheard. "You remembered?" Zuri smiled. "Of course." Then came the missing bracelet. A diamond bracelet vanished from a penthouse suite. Suspicion immediately fell on a housekeeper named Mrs. Zhang. Zuri examined the service log. "This cart number is wrong." Security checked. Another employee had accidentally transported the guest's laundry downstairs with a bracelet tangled inside a silk robe. Mrs. Zhang was cleared. "Thank you," the older woman whispered. Zuri shook her head. "You didn't do anything wrong." Across the lobby, Sora watched. Director Oh had seen everything. The permanent management position suddenly didn't seem guaranteed anymore. The following Thursday, the entire hotel changed. Security appeared near every entrance. Senior managers lined the lobby. "Chairman Cha is arriving," someone whispered. Zuri continued helping an elderly guest with his luggage. Then the revolving doors opened. Cha Tae-ho entered. Tall, composed, dressed in a charcoal Italian suit, he crossed the marble lobby with executives surrounding him. People bowed. Zuri barely noticed. Until Tae-ho noticed her. He stopped. Junseo nearly walked into him. "Chairman?" Tae-ho wasn't listening. Across the lobby, Zuri tucked a loose curl behind her ear while smiling at the elderly guest. Something inside Tae-ho went still. That gesture. Those eyes. He had seen them before. 24 years earlier. In Accra. "Who is that woman?" Junseo followed his gaze. "An intern, sir." Tae-ho's voice dropped. "Find out her name." The report arrived that evening. Tae-ho opened it casually, then froze. Zuri Abina Mensah. His eyes moved downward. "Mother, Abina Fua Mensah." The room disappeared around him. "Where did you get this?" "Employment records." Junseo placed another document beside it. Her date of birth. Tae-ho calculated silently, then calculated again. "No." He stood and walked toward the window. Abina had disappeared from his life during the most dangerous period his family had ever endured. He had searched. Eventually, he had believed she wanted to remain gone. Now, a 23-year-old woman carrying her name was working downstairs. 3 nights later, Tae-ho finally reached Abina. Neither spoke for several seconds. "Abina." Her breath caught. "Tae-ho." He asked only one question. "Is Zuri my daughter?" Silence. Then came the answer that divided his life into before and after. "Yes." Tae-ho closed his eyes. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because the men hunting you were also watching me." Her voice trembled. "I chose the only thing I knew would keep her safe." Tae-ho looked toward the Seoul skyline. 23 birthdays. 23 Christmases. Her first steps. First day of school. Graduation. All gone. Does she know? "No." Abina's answer came quickly. "And, Tae-ho, don't destroy her life trying to recover the years you lost." While Taeho struggled with the truth, Sora was creating a problem of her own. The Imperial Ballroom would host a diplomatic reception for nearly 400 guests. Seating protocols were strict. Sora quietly changed the assignment log. Zuri was suddenly responsible for a section she had never been briefed on. 20 minutes before the doors opened, Zuri discovered the discrepancy. Who approved this arrangement? No one answered. Then she saw Sora watching from across the ballroom. Zuri understood. But there was no time for confrontation. She removed her blazer. Give me the diplomatic precedence list. For 18 frantic minutes, she reorganized place cards, corrected dietary requirements, repositioned interpreters, and repaired the entire seating arrangement. The doors opened. The reception proceeded flawlessly. Director O approached afterward. Who corrected section C? I did. Who assigned it incorrectly? Zuri glanced toward Sora. For 1 second, she could have exposed her. Instead, she said, I don't know. Director O studied her. Excellent recovery. Across the ballroom, Sora's smile vanished. Her attempt had failed, and from the private balcony above them, another person had witnessed the entire thing.
Jatahe.
He watched Zuri calmly return to work.
His daughter. She didn't know it yet.
Neither did the people laughing behind her back. But by tomorrow morning, that secret would become impossible to hide. The following morning, Zuri entered the intern evaluation room expecting an ordinary meeting. Instead, she heard laughter. Sora stood beside the presentation screen, with her phone in her hand. On it was a photograph of Zuri entering her modest apartment building. Another showed her repaired shoes. Where did you get those? Zuri's voice was suddenly cold. Sora smiled. Seoul is smaller than you think. Chaerin laughed nervously. Don't be dramatic.
Zuri stared at them.
Mocking her lunch was childish. Mocking her clothes was cruel. But following her home? That was different. Sora leaned against the table. Some people need to understand that ambition doesn't automatically mean belonging. The room went quiet. Zuri slowly placed her notebook down. And what exactly determines belonging? Before Sora could answer, a man's voice came from the doorway. Yes. Everyone turned. I'd like to hear that answer too. Cha Taeho stood there. Director O was beside him. Every intern immediately rose. Sora's confidence vanished. Chairman Cha, we were only joking. Taeho's expression remained unreadable. I heard enough. Then he looked at Zuri. And suddenly, the powerful chairman looked almost nervous. Taeho approached slowly. Your mother's name is Abina Mensa. Zuri froze. How do you know my mother? You were born in Accra. Her expression changed. Taeho continued. She used to call you her sunrise. Zuri's face strained of color. Nobody outside her family knew that. Who are you? For several seconds, Taeho couldn't answer. Then the feared man everyone in the room was afraid to interrupt spoke with surprising softness. Zuri, I'm your father. Silence. Charon's mouth fell open. Sora slowly lowered her phone. But Zuri wasn't looking at them. She was staring at Taeho.
No.
I only learned recently. You expect me to believe my father suddenly discovered me 23 years later? Your mother confirmed it. That hurt even more. She knew you found me 3 nights ago. Zuri stepped backward. Her eyes filled, but she refused to cry in front of the room. Then I need to speak to her. She collected her bag. Taeho didn't stop her. For once, power could do absolutely nothing for him. Abina told Zuri everything. The danger, the separation, the decision to disappear, and the truth she'd hidden for 23 years. Zuri returned to Seoul confused rather than comforted. Taeho tried to help. A driver appeared outside her apartment. She sent him away. A luxury penthouse was offered. She refused it. Then came a bank card. She placed it on Taeho's desk. I don't want this. It's not charity. You're my daughter. That's exactly why I don't want it. Taeho stared at her. Zuri softened. I spent 23 years becoming someone without knowing your name. She touched the card. I'm not throwing her away because I discovered yours. That sentence finally made him understand. He couldn't purchase the childhood he'd missed.
So he stopped trying.
Instead, he asked, would you have coffee with me? Zuri considered him.
coffee. No gifts. No gifts.
No driver. He almost smiled. No driver. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was a beginning. By Monday, rumors had spread throughout Siren Crown. Everyone knew. The intern mocked for bringing homemade lunches was Chairman Cha's daughter. Suddenly, people who had ignored Zuri wanted to sit beside her. She hated it. The investigation into Sora and Chiron began immediately. Messages revealed months of harassment, mocking photographs, manipulated assignments, private jokes about employees from poorer families. During the disciplinary meeting, Director O asked Zuri what outcome she wanted. She glanced toward Taeho, then answered, "Whatever you would have done if my father were nobody." Taeho's expression changed with pride. Zuri continued, "If what happened was wrong yesterday, it shouldn't become more wrong today because of my surname." The hotel handled the matter under its established disciplinary procedures. More importantly, Director O accepted responsibility for failing to recognize the toxic culture developing beneath him. Internship policies were rewritten. Anonymous reporting channels were established. Affordable staff housing assistance was expanded. Taeho suggested naming the initiative after Zuri. She refused. People shouldn't need my story to deserve dignity. 1 year later, sunlight poured through the enormous glass walls of Siren Crown Hotel. A new group of interns gathered in the lobby. Among them stood a nervous young woman carrying an old backpack. She watched other trainees arrive in expensive clothing and quietly pulled her bag closer. Then someone approached. "First day?" The woman turned. Zuri smiled. She now held a permanent position in guest experience management, not because Taeho had appointed her. She had completed every assessment and earned it herself. The nervous intern nodded. "I think everyone here is different from me." Zuri understood immediately. Everyone walks through these doors carrying a different story. She gestured toward the orientation room. "Come on." Across the lobby, Taeho watched. Someone stood beside him. Abina. She had returned to Seoul for Zuri's management graduation ceremony. Taeho watched their daughter disappear into the elevator. "Did we do anything right?" Abina smiled. "We made her." Then she looked toward the elevator doors. She did the rest. Later that evening, Zuri joined them for dinner. There were still unanswered questions between the three of them. Years couldn't be repaired overnight, but they no longer needed to be strangers. As the camera pulled back across the magnificent hotel lobby, employees moved beneath glittering chandeliers while guests crossed polished marble floors. Once, people had looked at Zuri's repaired shoes and decided they knew her worth. Then they discovered who her father was and suddenly saw someone important. They had missed the point both times. Zuri's value had never changed. Only their perception had. And the young woman once told she didn't belong had finally learned the most important lesson of all. She never needed a powerful surname to deserve her place. She had already earned it under her own.